Good evening. It's Thursday, October 27th, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey, Ethel, what's up? It's our show from other Millennial news podcasts.
You got him again.
We have a boomer, and not just any boomer. We have Mr. BoomerRex himself.
Yeah, good evening.
You two eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and I'm still learning as three unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table. Ethel and I watched the third Tremors, and we're going to discuss that later. But first, let's dig right into our headlines. Radiation storms. What's this?
So in 2012, Japanese physicist Fusamasaki discovered a spike in the radiocarbon content of tree rings from 774 AD. It was so big that several ordinary years' worth of cosmic rays must have arrived all at once. So as they looked at more and more and more tree rings, they discovered events in 993 AD, 663 AD. What is this? 2 7s, 2 9s, 2 6s? Interesting. If you're into numerology, you'd go crazy.
If they cared about that kind of thing.
And prehistoric events in 52, 59, 54, 10, and 71, 76. So if you make the assumption that these were from a solar spike, right, a super flare, right, some of these flares were 50 to 100 times bigger than the Carrington event.
Whoa.
Right, so there'd be no electricity in the U.S. for years.
If it specifically struck the U.S.
If it struck the world, yes.
So even if they're not facing the sun during the...
It can be worse on the backside.
So it comes around...
Wraps around.
And then pushes back down?
Yep.
Interesting.
Anyhow, fascinating. Although if you look at it really closely, some of these events, assuming we understand the growth cycle of the trees and so forth, and the way we detect them is they create carbon-14, right? Carbon-14 now decays at a known rate, right? So you can look at the carbon-14 and go, there was an awful lot of carbon-14 here to start with. So, the problem is solar flares don't necessarily fit. Some of these events appear to be spread over, length of time like a year, which is not a solar flare, right? The other thing is these events do not map well into the 11-year solar cycle, right? So now some of these are far enough back. Has it always been an 11-year solar cycle? I don't know. Has it drifted? I don't know. But it's an interesting thing.
I feel like we'd also remember if there were, years where the sky was broken. Or did I miss the part where we haven't had one since we've had some sort of uniform writing code?
The most recent was 663 BC. Oh, no, sorry. The most recent was 993 AD. Yeah, there might have been some records from that.
It seems like, and is this one of the ones that lasted a year?
No idea.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah. So, and if it were from cosmic rays, this is a big cosmic ray event.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking, thank God, not really nearby supernova or, something odd. So anyway, just interesting. And I brought it up because if it was a solar super flare, these were big flares.
Oh, yeah.
So
do it.
How does it, but like you said, like flares don't last a year?
Again, they're still studying them. Yeah, could you have had a really active solar year? Yeah, maybe. And it creates carbon-14 in the environment, which it takes trees a while to hunt down. Yeah, you could make arguments about why, but still.
Is solar the only way this radiation could have been spread?
No, nearby supernova could have done the same thing. So a nearby supernova would have stripped the Earth of its atmosphere. So anyway,
Galactically
just
nearby.
But I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if something like an asteroid strike or
you have to explain how the asteroid strike produced carbon-14.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand.
No, it's only stars that do.
Well, that's all I'm saying is.
Only stars can generate this energy.
Okay, that was what I was getting at. Like, it couldn't be volcano or anything
Yeah,
like that. Is
I
also
suppose if you had a comet or an asteroid that was insanely rich in carbon-14, right? So carbonaceous and had been near the sun for a long period and so forth and so on, maybe it would distribute enough carbon-14 worldwide to, right? So anyway. But nothing about the collision produces carbon-14.
Yeah,
It would have
no,
had to have been there
okay. Fine. Yes, that was.
in the impact.
I just wasn't sure if there was some other explanation
Yeah.
that could potentially cover this sort of. Again, I know nothing about this, so I was just asking if something else could have been the cause of it.
Well,
It
they're
sounds
called,
like-
if you want to
not
Google
likely.
it, they're called Miyake events.
Sounds good.
Miyake. So,
Very cool. All right, so that's interesting.
I may
So
have caused a slight problem. I gave him a headline to read that he's going to find really interesting.
yeah.
Internet, so I caused a problem with her. This is when you should like, comment, subscribe. If you've been enjoying this content, we like bringing it to you. But we're going to need your help. We're going to need some money. Because my cat needs an operation and an airship to conduct said operation.
There you go.
So, about damn time. Or, I don't know what the next word is.
how to show desperation with Putin.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I continue to cover the Ukraine is Putin is clearly getting more and more and more desperate, right? I mean,
Nailed it
the
on
stuff he's babbling no longer even makes sense. So today he had a very important speech, and he did all the familiar swipes against the U.S. and its allies, and Western elites are playing a dangerous, bloody, and dirty. Hey, fucktard, you're the one who invaded your Ukraine. You're the fucking terrorist. Your troops are the fucking terrorists. And at some point, we're going to hang you.
You didn't get to the part where he says it's because of us.
Yeah, well, it's
Keep
always
going.
because of us. Western elites.
Yep.
Right? That's us. We the Western elites. He said power over the world is what so-called West is banking on. It's their own game, and it's a bloody game. It's a dirty game. It denies all the sovereignty of country. You haven't got a military to defend your sovereignty. You should shut the fuck up, Pooty boy. Can't even find fucking tires that hold air.
No, but I do think he has found something.
What?
So, the headline you both saw about how far-right groups are plotting attacks on the U.S. energy sector.
Uh-huh.
Materials include documents that help serve groups and individuals carrying out such attacks, including maps, manuals, instructions on vulnerabilities, electrical infrastructure, readily accessible methods to disrupt their operations. Now, hold on. Tell me what sounds weird. Or, like, raise your hand when it sounds weird. Express ties to a number of anti-government group ideologies, mostly far-right neo-Nazi beliefs, but also including eco-militancy, as well as those supportive of Islamic State.
My hand went up
Right.
pretty much almost instantly.
That's somebody poking all of the
Put that
American
on. Yeah.
crazies, several of which are on, right, diametrically opposed
Yep.
ideologic, right? If they met each other at the electrical substation, they're going to shoot at each other more than the Transformers. Don't shoot at Transformers, the internet.
Yeah.
But,
Well, again, we know that Russia has spent $5 million so far this year on propaganda organs in the United States, which I personally think we should shut down.
and that's the ones we can figure out.
Oh, yeah, that's the ones where we can trace them.
Yeah, like, this
So-
would be trivial to run out of a suitcase.
Yeah, and this is, if this is Russian, it's better than most of their recent shit.
Yeah, there has to be a competent part of Russia. There has to be one competent facet, and well, two, because I believe the Russian people are. Which is why you should kill those troops and Wagner kids coming home.
Yeah.
Because if their unit left with kids duct taped to the side of their vehicles, they're not humans. They're not the kind of Russians you want.
Yeah.
Or they're the kind of Russians I would trade you looking for.
And then little Pootie Boy,
Yes,
true
sorry.
to his Republican roots, had to go after the gays, right?
Oh, yeah.
Says, and whatever they want, with gay parades, but they don't dictate the same rules for Russia. And so they've now cracked down again on same-sex relationships. It's the standard. How do you appeal to the Trumpistas?
Motherfucker would be hosting CPAC this year if it weren't for Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead, they had to have Putin light.
So he said Thursday in Moscow that they had never intentionally said anything about using nuclear weapons. I think we can probably find the fucking recordings. So
Hey, they're going to argue dirty bomb. And like asshole falls under NBC, right? Then shut up.
no, they talked about the nuclear option. Putin talked about
Oh,
the
fine.
nuclear option. Fuck him.
Yes.
Well,
I talked about
They
shooting
can't
down
even keep
satellites.
track of the lies they've told.
Well, yeah, he's
Right,
claiming we never
incompetent
threatened
to
to
their-
use nukes, even though he aggressively did at least once.
Incompetent to their little third world core.
Yep.
So,
Right. People in glassed failed states.
yep.
But hey, turns out though, Russia, we can still manufacture our shit. We're just giving it to Ukraine and they're just fucking you up by the numbers. Wow, you better hope we don't actually have a secret plan to invade you after this, because
Yeah.
it sounds like you're really depleted.
We'll just let the
You
Ukraine.
used all 4 of your
Yeah.
hypersonics.
We'll let the Ukraine weaken you, and then NATO can just stomp your butt.
No, what I fucking love, what I find goddamn hilarious is we've done it to them again. We've tricked the major players in Warsaw to chase a technology that has no profitability and is hugely expensive.
Yes.
Like hypersonics are bullshit and they're going for it again.
Yeah. And they're harder to intercept, but I tell you what, in this case, I'd rather work the interceptor than the missile. So, because I think I can get in front of you without being hypersonic.
Yeah.
Joe Biden has the perfect answer. He does not intend to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin when they attend the G20.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Why would he? I mean, sooner
I would stiff
meet
arm
with
any
the
Russian
president of
staff.
Djibouti or some other economic power instead of the failed state of Russia.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
Putin couldn't shut up. He says the world faces the most dangerous decade since the end of World War II. That kind of involves the belief that Russia is dangerous, and I don't think it is. So anyway, this was in front of the Valdai Discussion Club in Moscow. Yeah, right. And let's see what else. Excellent.
You have a fucking GDP the size of the state of New York.
Yeah.
And in the nice way, outside of one cold September Tuesday, Americans don't give a flying fuck about the whole ass state, let alone one dirty little boring city. So, I wouldn't have gone to war with the only hyperpower on the planet. You're falling apart and we haven't even moved yet.
So, and then the last one, the opposition leader in exile from Belarus has demanded that Alexander Lukashenko be held accountable for his regime's complicity in the Ukraine war
Yes.
and for the Russian soldiers to withdraw from Belarusian soil. Now, the big thing they were doing in Belarus, that's where they took all the injured Russians, they took them to hospitals in Belarus where they could control the story, until the story got so big they couldn't control it anymore.
Turns out.
So, yeah, they just keep losing troops.
Should have brought more mobile crematoriums.
Yep. Just list them as MIA.
Yeah.
So, you gotta love it. Again, it's a little third world tin pot dictator banging on the table. So, hey, take your shoe off. That's got a history. Beat on the podium
Did
with
it
your
work as
shoe.
well for you as it did for fucking... No, not Khrushchev.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Who looked exactly like what he was, which was an old, worn-out coal miner.
No.
So,
Do we have more
No.
Putin talk? Okay, so let's move on to just fuck 'em.
oh God. So first up is the Wisconsin state moron. I didn't know states had specific morons. But Ron Johnson, yeah, he's the Wisconsin state moron. He's the latest Republican to insist that kids are using litter boxes in schools as part of a rant attacking transgender youth. He says one of the things COVID did was parents were looking over their kids' shoulders and they became aware of the indoctrination of our children by radical left. Jesus Christ.
And that's the job of the
What a
preacher,
maroon.
less known on Sundays.
Yes.
And at youth group.
Yeah. He went on to say he heard on a radio talk show that England's National Health Service has declared transgender. Yeah. He says children should not receive gender-blocking drugs or sex change operations when in reality gender-affirming surgeries are not performed on minors. Period.
They're going to fuck around, and my answer is going to be cool. Nor should they receive Bibles.
If I were a parent and you handed my child a Bible in school, I would go nuts on you.
Yeah, but no one's getting gender-blocking meds at school.
Yeah, peace. But, and I laugh about the litter boxes, but I'm telling you, when I was in high school, I ran in a crowd. We would have put fucking litter boxes in the bathrooms. We'd have done it for goddamn absolute sure.
Yes, no, that troll gene runs deep in America.
I know.
The problem with that is, that's how we got the fucking China's having a coup noise and all the rest of shit.
Yeah.
Because fucking satire is dead. Satire was dead long before those Charlie Hebdo kids did, but let's at least put that in the fucking coffins with them and be like, that's what killed satire. Yeah. And then we can get rid of the fucking Onion, who I loathe and kind of wish would get Charlie Hebdo'd.
Oh.
Again.
I know.
We cannot fucking do satire.
Right. Well, you just look at the number of Republicans who have been found tweeting out stuff which was labeled satire in the original.
Shit, the left babbling on about the thing they saw about genetically modified. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the dumbest motherfuckers have trouble with it. It's the same reason, right? This sovereign citizen garbage. Then get rid of the ghastly fucking fringe. Because first off, it makes it look trashy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's trashy on fucking military flags, but the military's allowed to do what they want as long as they're not molesting each other or hookers. So.
Yep.
And then you're done, right? They don't have any of this thing they can, and they will always find something to babble about. But anyway.
Yep. Next, it is so sad. Kanye West has had a really bad week since he went all anti-Semitic.
You mean yeet?
And then doubled down. Kanye West. So anyway, it's a campaign against Jewish people was adopted by Nazis. And of course, Tucker Carlson welcomed him on a primetime show to explain himself. Wow. And he further embarrassed
I
himself.
thought this happened the other way around. First, the King Nazi brought him, Tucker Carlson brought him on, and then those Nazis held up the 405 banner. But who knows? Just want to say something about Tucker Carlson.
So after Adidas canceled his shoes, he went to Skechers, went in with a team with cameras and stuff.
It was going to work out for him. He was going to
Well, he was sure they would take his line. They chased him out of the building. So I love it.
Yeah, I guess he didn't bother Googling up the fact that, owned by a Jewish family.
Well,
probably not going to be down with your fucking anti-Semitism.
His turns out those, co-marketing agreements and so forth were worth about $1.5 billion, and they're gone.
Oh yeah.
So anyway.
No, the nice thing about this is there is a non-0% chance this also cost Kim Kardashian something in the end.
Yeah, we could hope so.
Because he's likely to end up in a position where he can sue her for increase in child support.
I love it.
Yep. No, fuck the Kardashians.
Anyway, so before he was worth around $2 billion, now he's worth around $400 million.
And he lost TJ Maxx.
Yes.
So on top of Adidas and everything else.
Yeah.
And TJ Maxx wasn't the big piece, but still.
No, Adidas was the big piece.
Yeah.
He thought it was so big they couldn't get rid of him.
Yeah.
Huh.
Turns out.
Did you see what they wrote?
Indispensable. No. Do you have it?
No. You want me to come back with it tomorrow?
Sure.
But Adidas letter of termination, the second paragraph's worth reading. So next up, goddamn. I'm sorry. This is not a case of just fuck 'em. It's a case of, oh, come on. Don't carry gasoline in your backpack.
Or get tased by cops. In fact,
dumb.
cops just stop having fucking tasers.
Well, why do you have why do you need gasoline in your backpack?
He's a motorcyclist.
Ah.
So anyway, here was on an unlicensed motorcycle, uninsured, driving on a revoked license, etc., etc.
Was he a
You
sovereign
can be
citizen?
sure the local police know him. They tried to pull him over. He refused to comply. So they chased him apparently to his house, basically. And he jumps off his motorcycle, and instead of surrendering, right, they got him dead to rights. He goes running off and stumbles, at which point the cop, instead of shooting him, tasered him. And it set off the gasoline in his backpack. And you can see on the video, the cop is just, you taser some guy, you don't expect him to explode.
Yeah.
Right? So drops his taser. The cops grabbed a fire extinguisher, dragged him away from the flames, put him out. So he is expected to live. I expect he's badly burned in a place or two.
All right.
So anyway.
Hey, I'm fucking thunderstruck they rendered aid. That's not the average.
Yep.
So anyway,
Then I
don't
was
carry
gonna
gasoline in
advocate
your back.
Cooking spam in a can, but
All right. Boomer Rex is about damn time. Tell me the good news.
I love this. So Judge Amy Berman Jackson delivered a withering rebuke of convicted Capitol rioter Albuquerque Head shortly before slapping him with a 90-month prison sentence.
yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
That was quite good.
He was saying he was trying to help the cop. And he's on the video, he shouts, "I've got one," as he drags him into the crowd. And Judge Jackson, obviously the judges have had about fucking enough of the armed insurrectionists,
Oh, yeah.
says, "He was your prey. He was your trophy. He was protecting the very essence of democracy, the peaceful transfer of power after a democratic election. He was protecting America. That's who Officer Fanone was. That's what Officer Fanone was doing. And you made choices over and over and over again to go after him."
Yeah. No, when you drag a cop towards a fucking group of people baying for blood and shout, "I've got one," fuck you.
That's not trying to help. Yeah.
See you in 3.25 years, buddy.
7 years.
7.5. Yeah.
Cool. Time and a half for good behavior.
Oh. Maybe.
They're gonna get their special wing.
Let's see, what else is going on? You
I
ready?
think they should all be separated because them having their own special wing just means that they're just going to keep shouting their crazy at each other.
Yeah,
I think they should be spread across the fucking country.
Yep. I'm down to put them in Gen Pop, but I'm an asshole.
I think that's kind of all you can do with these people, really.
Yeah. Let them live in the real world.
Or put them into regular protective custody. And they can hang out with all the other creeps and weirdos who can't make it in Gen Pop.
Yeah, fair. Dumbass of the day, who gets the crown?
So, New Hampshire Republican Senate hopeful Don Bolduc was called out during a debate. He'd been talking about the busloads of people who aren't allowed to vote that had been seen. Said, are you claiming this happened in New Hampshire, the moderator said. I'm claiming that's what the Granite Staters tell me, and I'm saying we need to respond to that. So they've had 20 months, and they haven't responded at all. They're just passing around the rumors.
Yeah.
So the moderator asked him whether he thinks he should actually verify the claims from random voters before trying to pass them off as facts during debates. Well, I think we need to verify. Once again, you've had 20 months, sucker. So, anyway.
All you need to vote in New Hampshire is a driver's license.
So, immediately after that, his opponent then hammered him for trying to sow distrust in the New Hampshire elections without presenting any verifiable evidence. What you just heard from Don Bolduc is his continued attempt to stoke the big lie. Don thinks he can ignore the things that most Granite Staters are interested in. He just doesn't need to accept election results.
Yep.
So, nice shot.
All right. Marjorie Taylor Greene's smokescreen of the day. What's bitch whining about now?
So she on Wednesday vowed that the GOP will investigate the corporations that stopped donating to Republicans who supported the claims of stolen 2020 election.
This is how you take over a country, people.
Yep, she was on Steve Bannon's War Room, and she said these employers are engaging in industrial communism. The congresswoman who voted against certifying, she wants to go after the corporations that cut off contributions to members of Congress who backed the widely debunked claims of massive fraud. You know what they did after January 6th? They stopped donating. All the lobbyists, all the big corporations stopped donating to a whole bunch of my Republican, your insurrectionist, pig-fucking allies. Yes, we know about them.
For a hot minute, while everyone was looking.
Yeah, well, most of them have been pretty good about that. So, anyway, and my response to this is, oh, absolutely. If there's a red tsunami, oh, please go after the corporations.
Yep. And law
that would
enforcement.
be hilarious. So.
No, and whatever federal agency. This is a chance. I fuck them up. They're going to, right, they run on waste, fraud, and abuse. And I say, right, they're going to run on drain the swamp garbage. And I say we fucking drown them in it.
Yeah.
Right, and again, just do the standard stuff. Yes, you must take down the names of every lobbyist you meet with. That's public information. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Force them into living up to the promise of Citizens United, where it'll be fine because we'll have some sort of database where we can just check that shit.
Yeah. No,
So-
sounds fair to me.
Do a Communications Modernization Act where because every local station that broadcasts political ads has a file anyone who wants can go and look at.
Yep.
Saying who bought the ads. Digitize that, all of it, everywhere. Just make that a requirement. Do you have an FCC license, shithead? Then you're
you'll
going to do
this.
this thing.
Yeah.
If not, you won't. Don't worry about it. And they'll bitch about cost, and they'll point out no one but gajillionaires owns an FCC license, so fuck off.
That's true.
Yep.
All right. Updates with BoomerRex health threats.
So, maybe some potential progress on rheumatoid arthritis. It affects about 1 in 100 people worldwide, and it causes inflamed, painful, and swollen joints. And it's an autoimmune condition. Your body has attacked the joints.
Mm-hmm.
And we've known for years that this happened. We've just never managed to figure out why.
Right.
So anyway, there is some research that suggests that there is a specific newly discovered bacterium which is never detected in the feces of healthy people and has been found in about 20% of those that have rheumatoid arthritis. And I don't know what levels are important or whether, a temporary infection. Anyway, it's like ulcers. We now know that ulcers are an infection process.
It also seems to me that we'd be able to roll some dice on this and see, or run the experiment on it and see by giving rheumatoid kids antibiotics.
Well, you have to find one that does the right stuff and so on. And we don't know if it's a switch, that you throw the switch and the T cells are now activated to go after joints and so on. But it begins to say, okay, how might we treat this? How might we reverse the damage that was done, et cetera, et cetera. Not real solid research yet, but hey, interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, could be a step forward.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So now on to climate weirding.
Yeah. So, you normally think of Europe as being a nice, pretty green place where there's lots of water and so forth and so on. Turns out they're now concerned about the glacial melt in the Alps, which has provided them with beautiful water for centuries, and now it may be going away. And so they're arguing about who can hold it back and, who can keep it in their hydroelectric ponds and yada, 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 yada.
I love how in science fiction the Europeans are basically always played by the fancy space creatures. Because, oh no, but seriously though, climate change couldn't fuck with the Alps though. Those are too beautiful.
Yeah.
No, motherfucker, us rolling coal over here is gonna kill everybody. Don't. You're dumb. I would not have left the Irish unattended on a goddamn continent by themselves.
But anyway, it's beginning to soak into some folks. Climate change is a big deal. So maybe we'll actually get started on doing some of the things we said we were going to do.
I won't hold my breath.
No,
I don't plan to either. Well, again, technology is helping somewhat. So.
All right.
It's weird all those scientists look like they're about to jump off something high. Because,
well,
we're losing what was it? We're losing the chance for incremental change.
Yeah. Well, but by the same token, we've installed a lot of solar and wind power.
Yeah.
Which has directly reduced the carbon that we were or it has made it grow more slowly. It hasn't been reduced. So, again, it's the right
carbon we're dealing with right now was released in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, and we're still going
We
up.
are continued. Oh, yeah. We will. If we stop tomorrow, we'll keep going up for 40 years.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking about where the carbon output is still going.
Yes.
So.
No, and I'm saying if we stop tomorrow, it will continue.
Yes. Yep. It takes about 100 years to wash it out.
Yep.
So.
We'll see.
Yep.
Maybe there's 100 years left in humans. I hope not. Theoretical article today. And I have to look more and see if anyone else is saying this, or I'm just like randomly trying to fight with one kid over at salon. But was claiming that here's the one married to Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith.
Pinkett.
Yeah. That her show is the inheritor of the Oprah mantle, and like, oh, is that true? Fetch the pitchforks and torches now. Then we let the last one get away, and Oprah was the devil. Oprah herself is a fine woman, I'm sure. She spawned Dr. Oz, who is killing people with quackery.
Literally.
And is trying to get in the Senate because that'll give him even more reach. And Dr. Phil, who was involved in the selling of children.
Oh, shit. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was the whole cash for, like, not going to the rape-em prisons. Or, boot camps and other... any of these scared straight things and all that, that is just an excuse to beat and molest kids. So they looked at what the Catholic Church was doing and was saying, we could save a bunch of money on candles and we could punch the children. And so, fuck. It's bad. So, yeah, if she's the inheritor of this, then cancel her ass now.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of Jada Pinkett. I think that she is not a good person, personally, from what I've seen of her and from what I have heard of her. I've never heard good things about her person. And she's kind of a okay actress, I guess. But no, she's wrecked Will Smith, and I'll never fucking forgive her for that. But that's just a personal thing.
And at some level, I think she should have shared in his punishment of being banned from the Oscars or whatever for a decade.
Because she fucking encouraged that shit.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's anyone in the room who believes that Will Smith got up on stage and slapped Chris Rock if he hadn't been in trouble at that other table. So,
yeah.
Seems then to me.
Okay, that balloon needs Viagra. Aw, sweet cat.
Anyway, let's move on to Tremors. We've been loving our Tremors. Okay, so Asshole and I watched Tremors Back to Perfection, the third part in the Tremors series.
Which
Now,
I've completely forgotten.
Yeah, no, totally slipped my mind too. But we thought that this was the Back in Time one, but I actually think that's the Bloodlines one. So
that's the fifth one.
So that was not this one as we had originally thought. This movie was put direct to video in 2001. It was directed by Brent Maddock. Michael Gross, Charlotte Stewart, Ariana Richards, Tony Gennardo, and Robert Jane.
If you like any of those, get them here.
Reprised their roles from the first film.
I did like that. There was sort of an old home week aspect to that.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nope. The Legend Begins is the fourth one, and I think that's the one where
Okay.
they go back, where the
Sounds good.
story goes back in line. But that's tomorrow night. We'll confirm that tomorrow. Okay, so let me read the plot summary real quick. So once again, spoiler alerts. If you haven't seen the movie, please pause here, go watch Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, and then come back. Hi, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the movie. Let's go a brief description of it, and then we'll discuss it, and then we'll have some fun quotes. Okay, so adventurer Burt Gummer returns to his hometown of Perfection, Nevada, after a hunt for shriekers in El Charco, Argentina. Since the original graboid attacks, the town's preventative equipment for tracking graboid activities has fallen into disrepair due to the neglect of native residents. Miguel, Nancy Sterngood, and her daughter Mindy. Walter Chang's market has been taken over by his niece Jody, and the town has gained a new resident, Jack, who creates a mock attack tours for visiting tourists. One afternoon, during one of Jack's tours, his assistant Buford is eaten by an actual graboid. Jack, Mindy, and Jack's customers manage to escape to warn the town, but Burt determines there are 3 graboids in the area. The residents begin to take action and kill the graboids, but they are stopped by government agents, Charlie Rusk and Frank Startler, and a protagonist, Dr. Andrew Merlis, who claims the graboids are an endangered species, preventing the humans from hunting them. Jack manages to reach an agreement with the agents that if they capture 1 live graboid, Burt and the residents will be allowed to kill the remaining 2. Burt grudgingly agrees, and he and Jack set out to trap a graboid, while the agents go after another of their own accord. Melvin Plug, a fellow survivor of the original attacks, approaches Burt in the hopes of buying his land and developing it into a town. After he refuses, a graboid attacks and swallows Burt whole. Jack lures the graboid to Burt's home, having it fatally collide with the underground concrete barriers surrounding the building. He then uses a chainsaw to free Burt from its belly. Burt, Jack, Jody, and Miguel later find a badly wounded Merlis. He explains that he and the government agents were ambushed by shriekers from the graboid they were chasing before dying. While tracking the shriekers, an albino graboid later named El Blanco, meaning the white one in Spanish.
El Blanco.
Yeah, no, it's actually really neat. Traps them on rocks for the night. After drawing El Blanco away, they find that the shriekers have molted their skin, becoming winged creatures capable of jet-propelled flight. Miguel is killed by the creature, which then crashes on a metal fence, killing itself.
It's flying, it's falling with style.
Burt realizes that chemicals in their stomachs react explosively, enabling their flight. Finding them able to carry graboid eggs, they surmise that they evolved to spread them through flight. Jody dubs the new species ass blasters. Meanwhile, Nancy and Mindy are attacked by an ass blaster in town and hide in a freezer while distracting it with food. Using a mattress as a cover for the ass blaster's infrared vision, the group gets to Burt's house, but are forced to flee when an ass blaster attempts to break in. To keep it from multiplying like its predecessors, Burt rigs his house and his stash of MREs to explode, killing it. However, only after that they learned that from Mindy that ass blasters do not multiply but fall asleep after eating, as has happened to the one that attacked her and Nancy. The group flees to a junkyard where they build a potato gun from everyday objects to ignite the combustible materials in the ass blaster's stomachs. After they kill 4, Burt is attacked by El Blanco and pinned down. Realizing that Bert's ultrasonic watch is repeatedly drawing El Blanco to them, Jack takes it and sticks it to the final ass blaster, and El Blanco devours it, saving Bert and Jody's lives in the process. In the aftermath, Nancy manages to sell the captive ass blaster, while Jack peruses a romantic relationship with Jody, depressing Mindy, who had a crush on him. Meanwhile, Melvin tries again to approach Bert about selling his land, but Bert informs him that since El Blanco is an endangered species and illegal to hunt, and formed a mutual unspoken friendship with Bert, the residents have decided to take precautions in order to live safely alongside it, thus turning Perfection into a federally protected graboid reserve and barring Melvin from developing a town.
How did that interpret friendship?
Yeah, I don't think we'll get into it in just one moment. Bert then leaves Melvin standing on a rock with El Blanco circling below. So I disagree with some of the characterizations of how they explain the story. Again, this is definitely
what happens when the terminally fucking forever alone types on Wikipedia and write a synopsis.
Now, this isn't the best movie in the series by far, but it's interesting, it's fun, it's funny.
It continues its fine tradition of it uses Chekhov's gun effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And it is weird because it came out in 2001, which is right around that time when everyone was fucking around with the laughing at the EPA and stuff, and the nonsense about endangered animals.
Yeah.
Because The Simpsons did a similar episode about an animal that took up residence in Homer's beard and couldn't be removed because it was the last of its kind or whatever. Didn't matter that it was sexually attracted to fire or several other things that made it hard to keep alive. Again, it's the South Park problem of realizing only after the fact of how few screws we had to loosen before. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm. But again, it's fun, and having Bert as the main character just makes it that much better because Bert. If Bert's involved, then it's all about the guns. It's all about
it is.
Yeah.
It is also hard and awkward because Bert is almost certainly a sovereign citizen.
Right, but you don't get he doesn't ever get into that. He makes talks about some historical events in history, and that kind of thing. But he never quite goes the hard Trumpy or hard sovereign citizen. I don't get that feel from him.
Yeah.
I more get
again, it's 2001. Trump's not even a gleam in freaking Putin's eye.
Right, I more get the crazy hunter, protect oneself,
It's the militia
bunker
thing.
down.
If they've got a Gadsden flag, they're a militia shithead, which is tragic because that used to was all of ours. That's one of the things good Southerners and I can get together and be sad about together because I can also understand with the Southerners how they don't see the Confederate flag that way.
Right.
Now, that's because the South has worked incredibly hard to make sure that kids that grew up with 2 nickels to rub together never thought of it or were exposed to it as that.
Right.
Right, because it's never been driven around your house in the back of pickup trucks of people who you were afraid were going to come inside and burn you down.
Right.
So, same thing with the Gadsden flag, right? I love me some U.S. history, and there's some really great parts about it, but damn the people who want to come up with a simple version that fits on a pamphlet that also has, Jesus in there wildly too much. So, that's my only thing, is going forward, knowing where that character ends up in real life, right? Because Bert would be on QAnon, for sure. And that's tragic. We'll see. I would love to. I cannot wait, and I hope they make an 8th movie just to see how they deal with that shit.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see Bert be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I love my gay whatever.
Yeah.
So, but we shall see. That just burbles around in the back of my head, but I completely forgotten the thing. I love seeing everyone from the first movie back. That's always fun for me. As I said, it uses Chekhov's gun well. Again, it's got the best thing of all horror movies where the budget is so low for the amount of good effects you get.
Yeah, the budget isn't even listed on the Wikipedia, which is what I was just reading from. That's how low it is.
I think it was $6 million this time. Again, it's 2001, so the CGI is at the fucking worst of the worst. They do at least have some handful of Muppets, but
I will also say that with the graboids, the first movie, they're like huge, right? And in this, in next movies, they seem to be much smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just it made more sense to make them smaller for whatever, but
I don't think that much thought was put into it.
no.
Yeah.
But
Easier puppets.
I do like that they do throw in an explanation.
Yes,
for,
that was what I want to say.
Yeah.
I love that soft science is more of its stuff than any other thing I've ever seen in the horror world.
Because you need to have some sort of reason why these creatures go from being, these
Worms.
underground worms to above ground little guys that run around, and then now all of a sudden they're flying.
Yeah. Well, and it's well within the golden zone of monster movies, right? We know why Godzilla's big underwater nuclear tests, and that is shown. So that is part and has always been on the giant ants. We know again, nuclear weapons.
Right.
So you have to. That's the deal you make. That's why Jaws 2 is kind of okay because I guess the shark's back for revenge. Maybe Is it the same shark?
Back for dinner.
Sure. In the third Jaws movie, where he is a fucking Godzilla-esque sized I guess we call them the kaiju now. Motherfucker eats an underwater tube humans walk in.
Oh.
Cool. You need to show me the glow-in-the-dark bit of Jersey that Jaws come from.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. Show me the migratory pattern of this species or whatever of this bloodline of thing.
Well, even that shark game that we like so much, that video game, does a wonderful job of, this is obviously a fantasy world in which you play this shark and you can eat
where
people
you
and stuff.
get electro teeth. But
Yeah.
at least again they explain that. And the fact that they have the animals fly from a binary chemical reaction. That's fucking brilliant. Nature can do those.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things that always bugs me in movies and stuff, or really anything where they're like, well, these humans are telepathic. Just tell me what organ you think would grow to do that. Right? I'd be happier if you were making it they were verbally talking in frequencies we can't hear.
Again, there were some good lines. And again, they're better if you're watching the movie. But in one instance, Bert is talking to the feds, and he says, "You guys just do what you do best. Find something simple and complicate it." And that's good. It was a good hitting line. I liked it. Then
It's fun. It's also the snark that burned the Union down.
again, this is just a fun horror movie. Don't take any political references. It's just for fun. Another good line from Bert is your head up your ass for the warmth. I like that one.
Yep.
That one was good. Let's see. Bert says at one point in the movie, and people called me paranoid. Jack says, "I never thought you were paranoid." And Miguel says, "I did, but not no more."
Yep.
And that was good. Bert at one point says, "Well, let's assess the situation." And Jack says, "We're screwed." Yeah, no, pretty much. But anyway, so that's kind of like the main thing. It is a good movie. It's fun.
Yeah.
And then there's another line. Susan Chang, who is, now is the owner, the niece of Chang is now the owner of the downtown store. And one of the lines she says to Jack and Bert is, "You two definitely need to be supervised," and that was pretty funny. Now, Ansel and I both disagreed with the end description of Bert becoming friends with it. It's not that Bert becomes friends with it. What he does is they have been killing these graboids using the little cars, the little RC vehicles. And when they found out that watch, because Bert had this watch that is somehow connected to the time in Colorado or something. But anyway, it released this frequency. So he ends up buying like a bunch of these watches and putting them on the RV and then driving the RV around so that the graboid chases it. Yeah. And that's how he traps Miguel on the rock with the graboid.
Yeah.
And that's funny. But no, I don't think he considered it his friend. I don't think he likes it. I think that
I think more importantly, the graboid doesn't consider him a friend.
Right.
right.
He found a way to manage it.
Yeah, he is not going to be Siegfried and Roy. Is what
No.
I'm saying. Well, I guess just Siegfried or Roy, whichever one got bit.
Right. But anyway, it is a fun story. Again, you have to kind of like, let yourself get into it.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, it's a little, and I'm gonna be honest. This movie has a lot more contrived lines and contrived parts of it, but kind of sort of like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's a cheap, monster horror fun movie. You know what I mean? It is what it is, and for what it is, I do enjoy it. Again, still doesn't beat the first Tremors, and it's not even. I wouldn't even say it's anywhere close to the second, as far as. But it introduces this new type of graboid.
Yep.
So we went from graboids to shriekers, and now we have ass blasters.
And that is the other thing it does that is right out of how to do it for monster movies. Is you have to show more of the life cycle. We may actually end up having to watch the Critters series, or at least some of that, because it is very much exactly in the same vein of monster horror movie that hewed closer to the horror side of the tree, right? And it's not gore or anything else. It's just very scary, not even very scary, but it has very scary bits well done.
Right. Another one of the things that I will say makes this movie, like, if we ever do come to a movie that, in this series that you don't need to continue, I will say you don't need to watch this. You can just skip to the next one. This one you really kind of do need to watch if you are watching the series, because it does have details of what happened with previous characters, where they are now, what they're doing.
Builds more of the universe than those.
Exactly. It connects you back around, so now you can see what's going on in other parts of the world while you're just in Perfection, Nevada. So it helps, like you said, world building. There's some good world building in it. So It's exciting. It's fun and it's silly. It is very silly. I will give you that. But I again liked it. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So
There you go.
good things. Tremor series.
Conspiracy theory.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
You want to know why Biden decided that COVID was over and the kids had to be back in school? The standardized testing companies were taking a hit. And they're big money for Democrats. Anyway, as I said, absolutely. As
No
far as
bait
I know,
test-
conspiracy
yeah.
theory so far. I haven't done any research into it, but
I could see why people would want to believe it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it comes from the parts of the left that think we're going to win if we're honest or true or something, as opposed to playing goddamn politics.
Fair. All right, so don't forget to check out Tremors, and while you're doing that, comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review,
Smash that like button on YouTube.
Go to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces on Facebook for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerX, or check your favorite podcasting favorites for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BRexTonight, and if you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us. We love y'all. We will have Tremors 4 for you tomorrow, and it is also Friday. So we love y'all. We'll see you back here tomorrow night for more BoomerRexTonight.
Good night.